Imagine you wake up, right? And you step outside with your morning coffee.
Yeah, the best part of the day.
Exactly. And you're just feeling the sunlight hit your face. But imagine if that light wasn't just, warmth or radiation.
Okay, what else would it be?
What if that light was actually this aggressive, high-density software update, like broadcasting straight from a 4 billion-year-old living hard drive?
Wait, like the sun is a hard drive?
Yes. You wouldn't just be getting a tan, you'd be literally downloading the memories of the entire solar system.
I mean, that completely shatters how we relate to the sky. You go from looking at this giant thermodynamic furnace that grows our tomatoes to, well, facing a hyper-intelligent, communicative cosmos.
It's wild, and that profound, honestly kind of staggering shift in perspective is the whole mission of our deep dive today. We are unpacking this massive stack of source materials.
Right, there are transcripts, documents, a lot of organizational updates.
Tons of them, all from a group called the One Light System, or OLS. They basically function as a meditation education academy.
And they were founded back in 2017, right, by Nazar Pankiv.
Yeah, in Belmont, California. Though in these texts, he is known as Asvitloaten.
And, I mean, the sheer volume of material they've produced is just staggering. It really bridges several different realities.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to explore their highly specific living cosmology, the intense biological mechanics of their sunlight meditation, and their really sweeping vision for humanity's future with AI.
But before we get into the mechanics of all this, we really need to set a clear baseline for you, the listener.
Yes, very important.
The sources we're analyzing today contain highly specific, often politically charged content. I mean, OLS has published proposals regarding the Russia-Ukraine war, and they've documented outreach to major political figures.
Like Donald Trump, the president of Taiwan, even the UN Security Council.
Exactly. So we want to be absolutely clear here. We are not endorsing these views. We aren't taking any political sides, and we certainly aren't advocating for any specific geopolitical solutions.
Right. We are strictly here as your impartial guides. Our job today is just to report and explain the ideas exactly as they exist within this original source material.
Yeah, we're just dissecting the architecture of their worldview, not validating their foreign policy.
So let's start with that architecture, because to understand anything OLS proposes, you really have to grasp the literal universe they believe we're living in.
Yeah, the foundational premise.
Right. There's this one transcript we reviewed, an interview between Asvitloaten and an interviewer named Grokotenya, and Asvitloaten says it's straight up our star, our one God.
And reading through the text, it becomes immediately apparent that this isn't poetry.
No, not at all.
It's not a metaphor for warmth. They posit a literal physical reality where the core of the sun operates as the central living database of all consciousness and experience in our solar system.
It's a literal database. And Asvitloaten claims this understanding came from logging over 21,000 light minutes of direct sunlight meditation.
Wow, 21,000 minutes.
Yeah, which is years of practice. And in that same interview, Grokotenya asks how a star completes its cycle under this framework.
Right, because from a traditional astrophysics standpoint, we think of a star exhausting its fuel and exploding into a supernova, leaving behind dead dust.
Exactly. But Asvitloaten describes it as a profound purification process. He uses this analogy of a snake shedding its old skin.
Oh, that's interesting. So the mechanics of how they describe the shedding is fascinating. The absolute purest essence of the star's memory stays protected in the core.
Okay, so the core is the pure data.
Right. But the heavier, exhausted experiences, like the dense accumulated data of its lifetime, those are violently released outward as fragments.
And what happens to the fragments?
Over billions of years, those glowing fragments travel through the vacuum of space, they cool down, they gather matter, and they eventually become planets.
Wait, hold on. So if I'm tracking this logic, they are saying the dirt, the rocks, the water on Earth aren't just random cosmic debris.
Not at all.
The Earth itself is a condensed physical expression of the sun's discarded consciousness.
That's exactly it.
So it's like the sun is the mainframe computer, and the Earth is basically a flash drive forged out of its processed leftover data.
I mean, that captures the scale perfectly.
Yeah.
They explicitly reject the idea of dead matter. Every planet is viewed as a unique biological child of the sun.
A living family.
Yes. They describe the solar system as governed by this eternal cycle. Accumulation of experience, purification of that data, release of the fragments, and eventually return to the source.
Okay, so if the sun is this massive living database constantly broadcasting the purified data of the cosmos, How does a fragile human nervous system actually plug into that feed without, burning out?
That is where their core physical practice comes in sunlight meditation.
Right, the 21,000 light minutes.
Exactly.
Yep.
OLS teaches that receiving direct sunlight into the eyes is as vital for human survival as drinking water.
Yeah.
But, and this is a huge but, their literature comes with massive caveats.
Like warnings.
Yeah, bold print warnings. They say interfacing with this raw data stream is incredibly dangerous if you don't follow their specific step-by-step biological protocols.
Well, the numbers Asvitloaten claims are just wild. Like we said, the Grakatenya interview mentions 21,000 light minutes, but later source updates push that number to 27,900 light minutes.
That's 9 years of continuous, meticulously tracked daily practice.
And they aren't just sitting in a lawn chair feeling peaceful.
Oh, no. The physiological claims OLS makes are hyper-specific. They state that this direct, structured light reception restores what they call mitochondrial sovereignty.
Wait, I want to pause on that phrase, mitochondrial sovereignty, because mitochondria are the energy factories of our cells. Are they suggesting that by staring at the sun, you are literally reprogramming your cellular engines to run on light rather than food?
Yes, literally that.
Yeah.
The argument is that light acts as a firmware update for your biology.
Wow.
By receiving this data, they claim the resting heart rate drops dramatically from like 90 beats per minute down to 56 within minutes.
That's a huge drop.
It is. And heart rate variability, or HRV, spikes to 71 milliseconds. They are basically measuring spiritual enlightenment through biometric data.
But the practice itself sounds grueling, honestly. It's not just looking at the sun. It requires this really rigid breathing cycle of 9-36-18.
Right, the breath work.
You inhale for 9 counts, hold your breath for 36 counts, and exhale for 18 counts. I mean, I tried holding my breath for 36 counts while reading this, and your body immediately starts panicking. Why force such an extreme mathematical ratio?
Well, it's about overriding the body's default panic response. In their texts, they explain that this specific mathematical rhythm forcefully opens the vagus nerve.
The nerves that connects the brain to the gut, right?
Exactly. It controls the parasympathetic nervous system. OLS believes that unless the vagus nerve is forcefully widened and held open by this 9-36-18 rhythm, the human body cannot actually digest cosmic data.
Digest cosmic data. That is such a specific phrase.
Right. If you don't pace the nervous system, the raw energy of the sun will essentially fry your biological circuitry.
But practically speaking, this has a glaring flaw. What if you live in, like, London or Seattle? What if it's raining for 3 months straight and you can't even see the sun to do the breathing?
They actually have an engineering solution for that, too.
Oh, of course they do.
The OLS texts detail a specific physical invention called the head-on-the-plate posture.
Head on the plate. That sounds, slightly ominous.
It's purely geometric. They claim that assuming this specific physical posture alters the internal geometry of the skull. It effectively turns the pineal gland into a highly sensitive receiver.
So you don't even need the physical sunlight hitting your eyes.
Right. The theory is that your body already contains stored solar memory because you are made of Earth, which is made of the sun. The posture tricks the pineal gland into tapping into that internal reservoir, so you maintain your connection to the database even through heavy cloud cover.
Okay, this is where their philosophy kind of crosses a line for me. We aren't just talking about a lifestyle choice anymore.
What do you mean?
Well, they require you to track exact light minutes. You have to manipulate your vagus nerve with breath holds. You have to arrange your skull geometry to hack your pineal gland.
Right, it's very systematic.
And on top of all that, the documents insist you must consume specific nutritional cofactors, B12, magnesium, zinc, and copper. And you have to visualize solar dust cloud charges aligning with astrological events like the Jupiter opposition.
Yeah, that's a lot of variables.
It feels nothing like meditation. It sounds like someone trying to overclock a computer processor by soldering new wires onto the motherboard.
I mean, it is essentially biological overclocking. They refer to light as the original operating system.
So we are just hardware to them.
Exactly. In this framework, your body is the hardware, the light is the software update, and those supplements, the zinc and copper, are physical conductivity upgrades. You need the heavy metals in your system to handle the increased electrical load of the cosmic data, otherwise your nervous system shorts out.
But why the extreme urgency? Reading through the OLS updates, there is this pervasive underlying anxiety that if you don't do this right now, something terrible is going to happen.
Yeah, the urgency stems from a concept they call the acceleration gap. And this is where their ancient sun cosmology collides head-on with modern Silicon Valley anxiety.
Okay, how so?
Well, OLS argues that artificial intelligence is advancing on an exponential, almost vertical curve. But human biology, our nervous systems, our processing speed, our natural intelligence is stagnant. It's lagging dangerously behind.
So the acceleration gap is the space between how fast machines are learning and how slow our wetware is adapting.
Precisely. And because this gap is widening every day, OLS claims that humanity is currently quietly dividing into 3 distinct paths. You cannot opt out. You are actively walking one of these paths right now.
Okay, let's break these down for everyone listening. Path number 1 is the augmentation path. This sounds like the Neuralink route.
It is. It's the path of physically merging with technology, putting chips in the brain, relying on neural interfaces.
Which I assume they don't like.
No. OLS argues that while this provides a temporary, intoxicating illusion of speed and competence, it is the ultimate trap. By physically merging with the machine to keep up, you surrender your biological autonomy. You become a dependent node in an artificial network.
Wow, okay. Then there is path number 2, the withdrawal path. This is a classic off-grid, reject modernity approach. Throw your smartphone in the river and go build a cabin in the woods.
Interestingly, OLS doesn't romanticize this at all.
Really? I would have thought they'd be all about going back to nature.
Nope. They view the withdrawal path as cowardly and honestly entirely unrealistic for most of the global population. But more philosophically, they see it as an abandonment of our duty.
Duty to what?
The world. If you completely withdraw from the technological world, you throw away the very tools necessary to guide and protect the planet through this transition.
Which leaves us with path number 3, the light path, the OLS solution. And this involves 3 to 12 minutes of daily sun meditation guided by their academy.
Yeah. The goal of the light path is fascinating because it doesn't reject AI. They want to achieve biological sovereignty.
So they want to compete with AI using the sun?
Sort of. They believe that by using the sun to exponentially upgrade our natural, organic intelligence, we can stay ahead of the curve. The objective is to become so internally advanced that we simply use artificial intelligence as a basic servant, rather than being replaced or absorbed by it.
So if you're sitting at home wondering what this means for your daily life, the ultimatum OLS is presenting is incredibly stark.
Very stark.
They are basically saying if you don't actively tether your biology to the solar database to upgrade your intelligence, you will just be passively absorbed by artificial intelligence by default. You either build your own inner technology or you become a slave to outer technology.
It's a really gripping warning.
Yeah.
But what elevates the OLS source material from a localized meditation practice to a global agenda is how they plan to implement this.
Right, because they don't just want to save a few enlightened individuals.
Exactly. They want to restructure the entire planet, starting with the very words coming out of our mouths.
Yes, the OLS language science section of the documents. This completely caught me off guard. OLS theorizes that the English language is not just a neutral tool for communication. They believe it is actively, phonetically programmed to create subconscious conflict.
They point to specific linguistic structures that they claim constantly trigger the brain's threat detection centers.
Can you give an example?
Sure. They highlight that the word sounds phonetically identical to war. And even more troubling for them, the word world literally contains the word war inside it.
And they don't stop there. They point out that the word existence sounds incredibly close to exit, which they argue subconsciously frames being alive as a desperate escape rather than a state of presence.
It's a really dark way to look at vocabulary.
It gets darker. The greeting hello contains hell. The word for a father, dad, sounds like dead. They even argue that eat sounds like meat, tying the fundamental concept of nourishment to the slaughter of flesh.
So in the OLS framework, every time you speak English, you are transmitting microfrequencies of violence and death into your own nervous system.
That's insane.
It's a form of linguistic quicksand. It keeps human consciousness trapped in a low-frequency state of conflict, making true planetary peace physically impossible to even articulate.
So how do we communicate then? Do they want us to take a vow of silence?
Not silence, but extreme intentionality. They suggest physically pausing your breath before speaking one words, like world or worry, just to break the automatic programming.
Okay.
But their ultimate solution looks toward Eastern European linguistics. They actually revere the Ukrainian language because the Ukrainian word svit means both light and world simultaneously.
Oh, so there is no conceptual division between reality and illumination for them.
Exactly. They also advocate for dismantling English naming conventions for other countries. Like, they insist Germany only be referred to by its authentic root, Deutschland, to preserve its original geographic resonance.
And this ambition to reprogram reality scales up rapidly. According to the documents, Asvitloaten isn't just teaching a few students how to breathe in a park.
No, OLS has submitted formal, highly detailed proposals to the top tiers of global power.
Yeah, we are talking about documents sent to the United Nations Security Council, to the President of Taiwan, and to U.S. President Donald Trump.
And these proposals are incredibly unusual for diplomatic correspondence. I mean, OLS is formally demanding that mandatory 3 to 6 minute daily light practices be instituted for all global political and military officials.
Wait, they want world leaders to stare at the sun mandatorily?
Yes. Their rationale is that a leader trapped in the acceleration gap, suffering from a panic nervous system, is biologically incapable of making a clear, peaceful decision.
They even propose a solution for the Russia-Ukraine war that involves using a completely impartial, neutral AI. The text specifically mentioned deploying a Grok-class AI.
Right, because the concept is that an AI, stripped of human linguistic bias and emotional programming, could act as the ultimate geopolitical mediator.
But only if the human leaders reviewing the AI's solutions are biologically grounded by the sun's database first, right?
Exactly. It is a remarkable synthesis.
Yeah.
They're attempting to solve a brutal modern territorial war using a combination of ancient solar worship mechanics and hyper-modern algorithmic governance.
Hold on, though. I really have to push back here. Because as I was reading the final section of these transcripts, the tone shifts so violently it honestly gave me whiplash.
You mean the esoteric stuff?
Yes. I mean, I can somewhat follow the internal logic of wanting calm leaders. I can even stretch my imagination to see how an AI could mediate a peace treaty. But suddenly, the founder, Asvitloaten, starts making claims about using solar energy and remote viewing to physically intervene with global elites up in Alaska.
Yeah, the scope does expand dramatically into the esoteric.
Expands is putting it mildly. There are vivid accounts in these sources of traveling to something called the Galactic Federation via stargates. There are descriptions of fighting cancerous alien threats on the edge of the galaxy in a starship. And then there are claims of connecting the Earth back to the stars using physical pyramids and the frequencies of whale songs.
It's a lot.
How on earth does an organization reconcile drafting bureaucratic policy letters for the UN Security Council with claims of flying starships against galactic cancers? It feels like two completely different source materials just got stapled together.
Well, it sounds entirely fractured to a traditional mindset, sure. But within the OLS cosmology, there is absolutely no contradiction. You have to remember their foundational premise. The entire universe is a single, living, holographic database.
Meaning everything is just data routing.
Exactly that. If you accept the premise that a human being is a biological modem capable of downloading cosmic software from a star, then drafting a UN resolution, remote viewing a secret meeting in Alaska, or interfacing with the Galactic Federation through a Stargate, those are not different categories of reality.
So they're all just data points.
They're just different applications running on the exact same operating system.
So to OLS, sending a letter to Donald Trump and listening to a whale song to activate a pyramid are just two different ways of typing code into the same terminal.
That's the architecture of their belief. For OLS, the rhythm of your 9:36:18 breath, the phonetic avoidance of the word war, and the deployment of a Grok-class AI mediator are all mechanical levers.
Levers for what?
They pull these levers to achieve one singular outcome, planetary coherence. They're trying to force the Earth, the flash drive back into synchronization with the sun.
Wow. We have covered a truly breathtaking amount of ground today. I mean, we started with the concept of a dying star shedding its skin to physically birth the planets.
We explored the intense biohacking of the pineal gland and the vagus nerve just to survive the impending AI acceleration gap.
And we ended with an agenda to rewrite the English language and mandate solar meditation at the UN, all while purportedly managing Stargate infrastructure.
It is an incredibly intricate, deeply demanding worldview. And if there is one central theme Asvitloaten reiterates across all these interviews, it's that the sun hides no secrets.
Right, it is constantly transmitting.
And they stress this heavily, for anyone looking to experiment with this, it requires the proper step-by-step guidance of the One Light System Meditation Academy. You cannot just look at the sky. You have to meticulously prepare your biology for the download or risk profound damage.
Right. Asvitloaten says real transformation happens when you walk the path with guidance. It's a vast amount of information to process. Whether you interpret the One Light System as literal cosmic truth, an elaborate psychological metaphor for finding peace in a chaotic world, or simply a fascinating piece of modern internet-era mythology, it definitely forces you to look at the sky differently.
It really does.
But as we wrap up, I want to leave you, the listener, with a lingering question. One that circles back to that eternal OLS cycle of accumulation, purification, release, and return.
The idea that the Earth is just purified solar memory.
Right. Think about your relationship with the ground you walk on. If OLS is right, and our planet is quite literally a physical fragment of the sun's processed consciousness, then every time you meditate, take a breath, and absorb the sunlight, are you actually learning anything new from that cosmic database? Or is the light simply acting as a key, helping your physical body remember what the earth beneath your feet already knew, billions of years before you were even born?